you doing out there, Olivia? My name is Krem, and I'm the Director of Fitness, and thank you for joining me for today's Mastering Form workout series. Throughout the Mastering Form workout series, what we wanted to do is to really kind of show you a way to break down some of the basic exercises, or some exercises maybe that you're doing or you've wanted to do before, but really slow it down to show you how to really implement the proper form or technique. If we're not doing the proper form or technique, we're really not developing our body the way we want, and also we're more likely to possibly injure ourselves. So really mastering form is crucial. For today's mastering form exercises, we're going to go through the calves and the obliques, which are these muscles that are really right here on the side. You people also call them love handles, but those are the areas that we're going to focus on today. There's some muscles that sometimes get underutilized, or we incorporate them in just a lot of other moves, but sometimes we don't isolate them. So that's what we're going to do today, is the calves and the obliques, or love handles. Now, if this is your first time joining me for one of the Mastering Form workout series, always make sure you check with your doctor, okay? Just make sure it's a-okay for you to begin any new activity. Have water. This is a slower pace, okay? So you may get your heart rate up a little bit, but it's really meant to kind of slow things down and take you through the whys behind the whats. But have some water. You always want to stay hydrated. Today is nothing different. So let's get ready to dive on in. We're going to start first with the calves, okay? Now, your calves are super important. And sometimes we think that we can't really work calf muscles unless we're at the gym and we're doing, you know, different seated calf raise machines or standing calf raise machine. But that's absolutely not the case. You can work your calves wherever you are. You don't need a gym to do it. And you can do them without any equipment, okay? Calves are so important because they really help with stabilizing your feet. They help with stabilizing your ankles. It helps with that proper balance that you need when you're walking. If you're someone who wants to be a runner, or you're a runner, having your calves be strong is really important for you. And it's also good for your Achilles. So you really want to make sure that you're having some really healthy, stable calves. So we're going to work on that today. Now, the first exercise I want to show you is called a unilateral calf raise. And that just means we're going to focus on one leg before the other. Okay, so we're going to kind of single them out a little bit. Now, you can do this with a dumbbell or kettlebell, or you can use nothing at all. Okay, so it's really up to you if you want to add some added resistance to it, and if you feel like you're ready for that. Now, with the unilateral calf raise, something I like to do is, if I have the ability to be on an elevated surface, like on a step, or I have, whether I have a step at home or I have stairs, that's always great, because if I can kind of elevate, put my toes on something higher, I'm just going to get more of that stretch there. If you don't, like I don't have anything like that right now, it's okay. You can absolutely still do the move. All right, so you may want to hold on to something. So a wall near you, or a railing near you, or like a couch or stable surface for this. And I'm going to show you this without any type of added resistance. What I want to do is, and I'm going to show you, I'm kind of going to turn this way so you can kind of get an idea of the movement. All right, but I'm going to talk up just to make sure you can still hear my voice. Is I'm holding onto the wall, and I'm going to take this foot and kind of cross it behind the other, because I don't want it kind of hanging out there. I don't want it to have any help. With the unilateral calf raise, one of the reasons why I really like this is because it forces you to focus a lot more just on the calf. Sometimes there are these exercises that you do that are calf raises, but they involve more of the Achilles, which is not a bad thing, but it's harder to isolate when you're doing calf raises together versus doing them by themselves. So that's why we're going to just do one at a time. So I'm crossing this foot here, and I'm going to come up all the way up. The whole goal is to get higher than I think I can get. So as high up on that toe as I possibly can go. And I want to do that slowly. Now, you might have seen when you do your calf raises, kind of going up and down, and you can absolutely do that. You're gonna, like I said, really kind of tire out that Achilles tendon and give that some work. But to isolate that calf, I think a nice slower approach, or slower just sort of progression, is just better for that calf muscle there. So with the calf muscles, because there's more than one there, but we're gonna go up slowly, as high as I can, and then I'm gonna go down. Now, if I was on a step, I'd be able to go down and really feel the stretch back here that I want. But because I'm on the floor, that's as low as I can go. So I'm gonna go up all the way, and then all the way down. Up, all the way down. Up, all the way down. And it shouldn't take much. One thing, the reason why I also like going at a slower pace is because I'm really gonna feel that stretch in that calf, in those calf muscles, okay? All the way up, all the way down. So when I do these personally, I'm not necessarily going for a certain amount of reps. I'm going for when I absolutely feel like I can't do anymore. If you're new to doing calf raises or working out the calf, you may want to set a certain repetition amount. Maybe you're starting out at about 10 or so and seeing how you do. Now, if you feel like you can do those and you can do 20 of them or so, you may want to add some resistance. You may want to start increasing your loadage. So maybe you're going starting from your body weight to adding maybe 5 pounds, holding a 5-pound dumbbell or a 10-pound dumbbell until you're able to kind of keep your repetition range a little bit shorter. So if I wanted to just switch sides to do the other foot, same thing, coming up nice and slow, all the way up till I feel like I've got that muscle stretched, all the way down. And it does not take a lot. One thing I love about the calves is that you're going really at a nice slow range, a sort of pace, you're gonna feel it. Like I'm already on number 3 and it's super tight. I'm definitely getting that burn in my calf, which is good. Balance, okay? Keep the core tight as well. I don't want to be leaned over. It's not necessarily, there are calf machines that you are sort of leaned over. It's what's called a donkey calf raise. So there's some different variations for that. But I want you for this one is just to stand nice and upright, core tight. Up and down, all the way up. I'm gonna go a couple more. Good. And keep my balance. Sliding on the sign here. Okay, good. Whew, nice burn. Nice fullness in the calves. Okay, so that was the unilateral calf raise. The next one I want to show you is where we use both feet. And this is called a dual. So there's, you probably, if you've done calves, you're probably really comfortable with this one or have seen this one where your feet are about hip width apart and you're going up and down. So this is when your feet, when your toes are pointed, this is more of a neutral calf raise. Now, again, there's machines that simulate this, and sometimes we like to go fast, right? And it's not that you're not working that area, but it's to really want to isolate the calves a little bit more. I like a slower pace, okay? So as high up on my toes as I can, and I'm down. I'm high up, and then I'm down. I'm high up, and down. Again, if you need something to hold on to, a counter, a sofa, a wall, if you need some extra balance support. Now with using, both feet at the same time, again, you're gonna give the Achilles a lot of work. Not a bad thing, but you're not gonna really isolate those calf muscles quite as much. Now, I'm already like 5 in, and because of the other exercise we just did, my calves are on fire, right? So this is that neutral placement. All the way up, all the way down, all the way up. And it would even be more intense if I was on a step or if I was elevated, right? Okay, so the next one we're gonna do is more of an inner calf raise. So this is where I have my feet sort of, my toes pointing inward. So this is an inner dual calf raise. This is gonna allow me to work different areas. So by changing my foot position allows me to basically target the calf muscles in different ways. There's a larger calf muscle, there's a smaller calf muscle that supports, so it just kind of targets those areas. I'm not gonna bore you with the exact names of what they're called, but just know that it's just not one sole calf muscle down there. All right, up and down, nice and slow, all the way. High up as I can, get that stretch. There you go. And again, the balance is tricky. Hold on something. Up and down, feeling the burn. Good. And you're gonna also, you may wonder like, okay, my legs are starting to get a little bit of a workout too. Not uncommon, okay? Now we're gonna do outer. We just changed the position of the feet. Right here. Same thing, we come all the way up. So like a ballet. Well, I've never been a ballet dancer, but it do seem like I've seen them come up on their toes. Like that, there we go. Up and down, all the way. All the way, yep. Burning, they're on fire. Good. And up. Whew. Okay. Calves. Okay, remember, great muscle groups to train. Awesome for walking, awesome for balance, good for your just Achilles, and just also your, good for your balance as far as your feet. So it's just a perfect thing to do, making sure that you're really kind of honing on those calves and giving them some attention during your workout. Let's go ahead and transition to the obliques. Right here, love handles, okay? Working those. Now, you probably, and you're like, okay, I do my exercises for my stomach, and there's all kinds of exercises that you do. And sometimes we really think we're kind of honing in on those love handles, but it really depends on your proper form, okay? Now, the thing about obliques or abs is it's a lot to do with, how you're eating, right? So even though you may want a nice slim or want to get rid of this, how you're eating has a lot to do with it, but you definitely want to make sure that you're working those muscle groups. Obliques are really good for your rotational movement. So you're twisting, you're bending movements from side to side. Your obliques play a huge part in that. So they're really important to make sure that you're giving some attention to and that you're training. But you want to train them right. They really develop from rotational movement. So we want to kind of do some exercises that really focus a lot on that. The first one we're going to do is a seated overhead side bend. So you can do this with a dumbbell, or you can do it without. My legs are going to be nice and wide here. My back is nice and straight, and I'm sitting up. And I'm going to show you first what it looks like without any weight in your hand or any added resistance. My arms are up nice and tall, and I'm going to bend towards my foot. It's important to, while I'm bending, to crunch, to really contract the stomach muscles. You don't want to just sort of go from side to side and let your arms do the movement. You've got to really focus on the contraction. So I'm going to crunch downward and to the side, and up, and then the other side. And if you're doing it right, you should feel that tension that builds up right in the core. And side to side. There we go. You want to avoid, again, making sure that you're not necessarily going straight for the toe, okay? It is a twisting movement. So I'm think of it going outside and to the toe. Outside and to, because remember, it's about the rotation for the obliques, okay? So outside to the toe, outside to the toe. Now, if I wanted to add in a little extra, some resistance, like a dumbbell or a kettlebell or a can, or just something to kind of, again, make it a little tougher. Take the intensity level up a little bit. You can do that. Grab your dumbbell. Outside into the toe. Outside, so we're rotating. Bringing it up. Outside into the toe. Last one. Outside into the toe. Good. All right, so that's that seated overhead side bend. The next one we're gonna do is called a windmill. Now, windmills, again, you can do this with or without resistance. So you can use a kettlebell if you want, dumbbell, cans, or nothing at all. Windmills are really good for that hip movement. So it's great for that hip hinge benefit. So not only are you gonna work the obliques, the core, that hip, get some placement, and also a little bit of upper body as well, if you decide that you're gonna hold some resistance. We're gonna stand with the feet a little bit more than hip width apart. Okay, so a little bit wider than we typically would. And let's say, for instance, this is the arm that we're going to start with. So this arm is elevated above my head. I'm going to hinge my hips back. So my hips have to come sort of out and to the side. Okay, so out and back is key. So hinge the hip. This arm right here reaches, there's a slight bend in my knee from my toe. Now you can have, look up, look down, doesn't matter, it's up to you. The key is to hinge first, slight bend in this leg, hinge, and I'm reaching. There we go. Hinge, I always like to do that first, keeps me in more proper alignment, and hinge. Now if you put some resistance, if you add a dumbbell or kettlebell, you just gotta make sure it's something that you feel like you can stabilize above your head. Because the heavier that gets, that arm is gonna wanna go this way, which means it's gonna take you out of that proper alignment. So make sure that if you do decide to use resistance, you start with something light, okay? All right, so hands up, hinge at the hip, and I'm here. And I'm more of a looking up kind of girl, so I'm gonna hinge and here. Now if I'm gonna switch, same thing. I'm gonna hinge this way, this arm is up, hinge in this direction, this knee bends a little bit, and I'm up. Now, you may feel a little bit awkward from one side to the next. That's okay, okay? It's just a matter of just how you feel going in that direction, but just keep trying it, get used to it, it'll be fine. So arm is up, hinge, looking up, and here. Also, I find when I look up, I'm able to keep that arm a little bit more stable where it needs to be versus if I'm looking down, I tend to kind of want to lean that arm downward. So that's one of the reasons why I like to look up as well. So hinge the hip, and I'm reaching, and I'm up. Tightening the core is key, contraction, hinging the hip, and up. There we go. So that's the windmill. Again, works a lot with that hip hinge movement. The last exercise we're going to do is called a lying leg or a lying knee twist. Now, this one, depending on if you're someone who has some challenges with your lower back, you're going to want to take your time and ease into this. You're probably going to want to do it with your your legs being bent versus straight. Because this is a really great exercise for the obliques because there's a lot of rotation from the lower part of the body, which is really important way to engage the obliques and really get them to do what they need to do. However, if you have a lot of low back pain, because there's so much rotation, it could be an exercise that would be a little bit challenging or maybe not necessarily a good thing to do for your low back. So just as a little bit of a tip there with this one. So I'm going to show you both ways. Your legs are straight, a little more tension possibly on the low back, legs are bent, a little less tension possibly on the low back. Okay, so I'll show you the legs straight first. All right, now I'm going to show you from both angles. Well, actually we'll start this one because with my legs being straight, you're going to need to see me. Now you can put your hands underneath your low back for some support, or you can have them out to your side. I like my arms out to the side. You can keep head up or down. It's up to you. I'm more of a keep your head up. My legs are going to be straight up in the air. And what I want to do is I want to twist my legs close to the floor on the other side, and I'm going to rotate them to the other side, keeping that core tight. And up. And I want to get close to the floor without hitting the floor. If you need to rest on the floor for now, totally fine. And I'm rotating, using my core, keeping it tight. You're gonna see, so what's happening here is that rotation is really making my obliques get involved. Now let's say for instance, having your legs straight is too much for you. We can absolutely just have the knees. Now if your neck gets tired, just lower it, all right? Especially if you're doing many reps of this, keep your neck down so that way it doesn't get too strained. You can absolutely do that. Knees are bent this time around, and I'm rotating my knees from side to side. So again, this one is a little easier on the low back, but you still get the benefit of rotating the obliques with the love handles. Twist. And breathe. Stomach tight. Just like that. Let me show you this one from this angle. Here. Knees bent 90 degrees. Rotate. Rotate. Core tight. Rotate. And rotate. Good. All right. I love that one. Okay, so just remember, when you're wanting to work the sides of the belly, stomach, the oblique area, rotational movements are key. Okay, so whether you're doing Russian twist or you're doing other movements, make sure this is the area that's doing the rotation. Okay, that's super important. So I hope you enjoyed these exercises that we did today to focus on the calves and the sides of the stomach. If you have any questions about any of the movements I did, you can always email me directly at fitness@livia.com. If there's any other exercises that you want some